Wednesday night delight. We are back. We are running and we are ripping, baby. It's the Fantasy Affair live streams where I bring it to you. You get your dynasty needs. We answer your questions when we send you out satisfied. I got three of my good buddies from the wrestling mat, but they are fantasy football connoisseurs. So let's bring them in for RB trust falls, cliff dives, and a little taxi squads. So let's start it with one of our own, the Dynasty Duo. You'll see him flashing around here. Do. I would use that song, but they won't let me. Flash Gordon, a.k.a. Kid Flash, a.k.a. your Wednesday night delight. CJ, what's up, my man?
What's going on, Maddie? I'm so excited to start talking about this tonight. I can't wait to get some deep cliff dives on this one.
Dude, and this is all kind of into your rankings that you do every year. You have to kind of see when is enough on some of these older running backs, some of these veterans.
Oh, yeah, I already started working on my redraft rankings, just kind of get a preliminary setup, and I've got my dynasty rankings up on Fantasy Pros right now, so I've got those ready to go. And we actually just did a Taxi Squad podcast last week that dropped, so I'm just like ready to talk about all this.
He's all over the place, ladies and gentlemen. CJ Krause is on fire. And he's pretty strong, too. But let's bring it back. We got Matt Kelly from The Pick Is In. From DFS to Dynasty, he is taking over, ladies and gentlemen. This guy is kicking butt. We just got hooked up with some Viridian swag. Let's get him out here. Matt Kelly. And he's muted. Why are you muted? Oh, I muted you.
Who would mute
Power
me?
trip. Okay, my bad.
Why would we do this? I think it's CJ's fault.
Oh.
CJ's fault because I'm cliff diving his rankings already. First cliff dive of the night. Hey, good to be in here, Maddie. Glad to talk. Glad you got me into the Viridian contest. Got this sweet new Air Ayuk shirt, and I'm ready to talk some running backs tonight, man.
Ayukin. Well, Matt, dude, what you're doing at The Pick Is In is top notch. We got a new up-and-comer, a rookie, a blue chipper. This guy is doing faces of fantasy. I just had the pleasure to talk fantasy, talk life, and just kind of get to know him, and he's looking forward to getting to know all of you. That's Burner of Stone from the Faces of Fantasy. What's up, Clayton?
Oh, not a whole lot, man. How you doing, brother?
Dude, doing great. Thank you for coming on, man. What a cool concept. Getting to kind of peel the curtain back a little bit and see what we're all about other than just winning championships.
Man, I follow a bunch of these people, and I want to get to know them personally, other than what I see on Twitter or the content they put out. So I figured, why not,
Clayton, as a cat, that's perfect. But let's talk football. Let's talk fantasy football, guys. I want to hit up RBs. We've got the Jonathan Taylor, the Cam Akers, the new blue chippers, but let's talk those guys that scare you. So what trust falls is guys that you don't mind having on your roster. If they shit the bed, you're okay with it. They're your guys. You expect production. But then we have those cliff dives. Those cliff dives are RB veterans you're ready to get rid of. You're not taking that chance. You think the end is near for these guys. Trade value is a big thing, but so is finishing the season as a champ. So let's start with first. This one's kind of, when I was doing this, I almost left him out because I feel like the fantasy community is down on this guy. Let's go with the brick shithouse, Derrick Henry. Is he a trust fall, or is now the time to get out and he's a cliff dive? Clayton, let's start with you, man, right off the bat.
It might not be a popular opinion, but if I have Derrick Henry on my team, I think now is when I'm going to get the most back from him. I mean, I don't think his stock goes any higher. It might stay the same for a while this season, maybe the whole season. But I think if you're wanting maximum value back out of him, now's the time to do it.
Now's the time. All right. Could you see him putting up another good year or two of production with that 250-pound frame, that 6'3" height behind this run-first offense? Do you think the end is near? Or is this, you still might have one more year of Derrick Henry?
You very well might still have one more year. I mean, and it could be two. I could be dead wrong. But when I'm looking at it and I'm looking at the situation, I'm looking at how many touches he gets. I mean, I think right now is your safest bet. I mean, shop him, see what you can get in return.
See what you can get. So that would be a cliff dive. Mr. Kelly, hit me with it.
Yeah, with Derrick Henry, man, he's going to be 28 in January. He's going off as RB4 right now. And early drafts, he had 378 attempts in 2020, 303 in 2019. Only missed one game over the last 2 seasons. So, I mean, Derrick Henry is built with the durability that you just don't see from pretty much any other running back around the league. Of top 24 running backs last season, it was Derrick Henry and Nyheim Hines are the only 2 guys that played 16 games. So in my mind, if we're just talking about maximum value, this is maximum value for Derrick Henry. 2,000 yard season. Like the repeatability of that is just so insane. He's still going to be good this year. He might be good next year. He might be Adrian Peterson. He might just keep trucking along for the next 2 or 3 years. But if we're just purely talking about max value, now's your time to cash out on Derrick Henry, in my opinion.
28 with high mileage. CJ, are you a Honda driver? You love the durability that he is putting out with these 16 games a year, 15 games a year, and the heavy mileage? Are you ready to trade in for one of those fancy new low mileage cars?
I'm 100% trading in for the sheer fact he cannot be an anomaly any longer. Pretty much every running back gets injured. He has yet to have a serious injury. And there's 0 chance his value can go up. This is what you have to look for in dynasties. You can't just be like, oh, he's good, he's worth something. You have to look at a year ahead, 2 years ahead. Right. If Derrick Henry tomorrow tears his ACL, he is worthless. If a guy like Cam Akers tears his ACL tomorrow, he still has value for the next 3 to 5 years. And that's how you have to look at it.
From a dynasty perspective, if you're getting the 105, CJ, are you trading Derrick Henry in Superflex? That still gets you Etienne. That still gets you Javonte. Probably won't get you Najee. You can't squeeze pennies out of me. 105 or Derrick Henry?
I need to see the board and what my team is. If my team is middle of the pack or lower, I would take that. If Najee's there, I would take that. If I have decent running back, like most times I would take it. It just depends on if I only have, like, let's say a weak running back core and I'm a contender, no. But I would say 80% of the time I take the 105 because that's probably Chase or Pitts or a quarterback. There's so many. Yeah, 5's great. I take it.
So that's not bad value. Let's move on to some harder ones. Some guys that are a little younger and they've been consistent, and then you got a couple question marks here. Oh, wrong one. Dalvin Cook, Kamara, CMC with the injury, Kamara with the new quarterback, and Cook just feels like a ticking time bomb sometimes. So, CJ, I'm going to go back to you. Tell me about Dalvin Cook.
Dalvin Cook is someone I really don't have a lot on my rosters, especially if I'm doing a startup right now, just because he does have that wear and tear and a high injury, like repeatability rate. So if he's a value, yes, but he never falls past the early second, the latest. So I really don't have him. The only way I would have him is if I already had him. And at that point, I think he's a hold just because his numbers are repeatability is there. And I'm not sure there's a buying market right now. So if I had to pick in a startup, he is a cliff dive, but if I already own him, he's a trust fall.
Trust fall or cliff dives. I'm not talking cliffhangers. I'm not talking cliff dives like the Titanic. I'm talking CMC, Matt Kelly. This guy has been away for a couple games, played 3 last year, RB 53. But before that, he was just the cream de la creme. RB1, RB2, RB10. This has to be a trust fall, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not worried about CMC in the least, and this is not just the Homer and me coming out. I am a Panthers fan. I tend to not draft guys off of my own fandom team, which is the Panthers, but CMC is most certainly one of those exceptions. I mean, when he did play last season, 28, 24, 36 points in 2020. In 2019, he averaged 29.5 points per game, 150 more than the next closest guy in Aaron Jones. The offense should improve there with Sam Darnold, which should mean more scoring opportunities. The offensive line, say what you will about it, it's Christian McCaffrey. I don't care. He's a trust fall. I'm holding him for an absolute ransom if I have him.
Now, Matt, you being the Panthers truther, I have to ask you, as a Chuba fan, Is Chuba going to come in here and steal the job from CMC?
Not the job, I wouldn't say, but I
Maybe
think
5 carries a game if I'm lucky.
I think he's getting some. I think he's getting between 6 and 8 touches a game. That's about the baseline. I don't think they're straying too far away from CMC.
All right, Mr. Burner, Mr. Cook, who's in the kitchen here? Dalvin Cook? Is he on this kitchen squad you got making up these hot soups, or is he hitting the trash? What's up with Cook? He can't stay healthy, but he is good when he plays.
He does have a history of not staying healthy, but when he's healthy, like last year, he was an absolute difference maker. I mean, there were redraft leagues where, you'd go up against him and it was just like, well, my team did the best it's done all season and I still didn't win. I mean, he was putting up points, and not only that, but they improved the offensive line in Minnesota. With pick 23, they took Christian Darrisaw, and then they took Wyatt Davis, the guard, in the 3rd round. I mean, they're trying to beef up that O line, and it's going to be better for run blocking. I think it's going to be better for Cook, honestly.
All right, so we've got Cook, we've got Kamara with Winston, we got CJ up there. How funny is it? The Panthers or Matt Kelly's team, and Kamara and the Saints or CJ's team, and then we have Cook and the Burner over there. I'm not touching the Cook. Kamara, fill me in a little bit more about this guy, because he is an RB1, CJ. Like, when he plays with Breeze, he's a monster. Being a home fan, fill me in on Kamara.
Oh, this one hurts me. I'm so upset that I wish you were to skip me on this one. But yeah, Kamara is a guy that I would be shopping as hard as I can right now, because, again, I don't think his value can go up anymore. And at the same time, the offense is not going to be better for him, even if Winston is the quarterback, which I presume he's going to be. But there's a chance he's not. But Winston has not shown an ability to throw the running back. His check down is a bomb more often than not. And we saw what happens when Taysom Hill hits the field. I actually wrote an article where I extrapolated the stats out. If Kamara played a full season with Taysom Hill, he would, instead of being an RB5, he would be RB 12 to 13. So it's a big difference. So still an RB1, but the same idea would be he's nowhere near the value at what he is. So at current price, I have to try to shop him because there's nowhere to go but down, in my opinion.
So it seems like we're kind of getting this pattern where everybody wants to sell these guys. Doesn't matter what they've done the last couple of years. It's
not
just
CMC. Buy CMC.
I'm not selling
CMC. Buy CMC. Or either one of you
trade 3 firsts for CMC.
Are you dying on your grave for Kamara, Matt or Clayton?
Not for Kamara. For Cook, I would.
Wow. So fill me in a little bit more on Cook then, Mr. Kelly.
Yeah, I mean, over the last 2 seasons, he's running back 2 and running back 3 in points per game. Going back to the stat that I mentioned before, 2 guys in the top 24 running backs played all 16 games. Dalvin Cook played 14 games in each of the last 2 seasons. He may have came out early a game or 2 as well, but he was in there for 14 games. So I'm kind of shifting off the injury-prone narrative just because there's so many running backs that miss games all the time. And if you're going to give me 14 games at that elite difference-making level, give me Dalvin Cook. I'll gladly take him off your hands.
Yeah, Dalvin. I think Dalvin's the one out of this group you're going to buy low right now. I think you could have a chance, but if, like Matt, if this is the time, I'd go after Matt or Dalvin Cook. This is your shot. Burner, you're kind of quiet over there. You've talked Cook. I feel like we're all kind of on CMC. Is there any hesitation with Kamara?
Yeah, there's a lot of hesitation, and I think it's going to be really dependent on who's named the starter and what that whole situation looks like. I mean, I think there's a chance, like CJ said, he nailed it perfectly. If Hill is the guy in New Orleans, then you have a late first round, early second, or late RB1, early RB2. Essentially, right, is what you're looking at. And and see, I don't know what to think about Jameis. I think that with Jameis, he stands a better chance of staying somewhere within the top 5.
Bro, that's my Russo voice. Jameis hitting the starter, bro. Dude,
who do you guys the starter right now, Matty?
Huh?
Who do you guys the starter right now in New
I think
Orleans?
it's going to be Taysom.
Yeah, me too.
I just feel it. I don't feel like I don't trust Jameis. You know,
I think
he's
Jameis
like
will
hanging out
start a
with
couple-
one of those bad friends. He might do really cool stuff.
I think
think
Jameis
the
is
best
gonna
way to
start
put
some
it-
games, but he's going to turn it over enough to where Taysom's going to be on the field. I just don't see a full season of Jameis. I just don't trust it. I can't do it.
So I saw someone wrote this on Twitter the other day, and I thought it was really interesting. I forgot who I'll look up and give them credit for it. They said if Taysom Hill wins the job, Taysom Hill's the starter. If Jameis Winston wins the job, Jameis Winston and Taysom Hill's the starter.
Oh, yeah, man. It's definitely a transition from Breeze to this because it is shiny. It looks nice, but they could both be, not good. Guys, before we move on, favorite beach drink, CJ?
Ice cold beer. Keep
Cold
it easy.
beer. All right. Favorite beach activity, Mr. Kelly?
Ooh, beach act, dude. It's maybe I don't know if this is a cop out or not, but it's people watching.
People watching.
It's just people watching. People do some interesting things in airports and at the beach. Like it's just prime. Give me a chair, give me a bucket of beers. I'm just gonna sit there and watch and see what people do.
Close your blinds around Matt Kelly. Heard.
This kind of leads right into that. Clayton, nude beach or non-nude beach?
For me, man. Family Guy and all that. I just
we're
can't
not
do it,
taking
brother.
your kids to the nude beach, dude.
I'm not in my early 20s. I'm not in good shape. No, nobody wants to see that. I promise you. I'm staying clothed, my friend.
All right, well, never mind. Let's keep it going. Matt's moving to the beach next week. Pretty pumped. Not Matt Kelly, Matty Daddy. Let's go to some more tricky RBs. These guys, they got cliff dives written all over them. But there's a couple of those guys I'm a little stubborn with. Aaron Jones, Zeke. They have a nice big spot in my heart. But let's go with Eckler first, man. Eckler's got this new system. He doesn't have that RB whisper he did now. He's in Detroit. Eckler's been hurt, though. There is no clear, backup behind him. Let's go to you first, CJ, our Charger extraordinaire. Eckler, is he a cliff dive or is he a trust fall?
I think he's a trust fall. I think the market's just. I'm assuming this is full PPR we're talking here.
Of course.
Okay, that's a very important differential here with this running back, especially when we saw him come.
Mahala, bro, mahala.
When we saw him come back, we saw a huge difference in the way they used the offense, and he actually took a lot of the market share away from Keenan Allen. I think it's a very setup, and as you said, the running backs behind him, they're trying to find a thumper. And I think Eckler, the only thing we haven't seen is him hold up, but I think they use him in the proper role where it's his catching 5 to 6 passes a game and getting 10 runs. I think that's where we want to see it.
I love it. Is that Super Dog?
Yeah, the animals are a little backed up in the corner over here, so I'm gonna.
It's
bring
not
them up really quick.
Batista hour. Don't start shaking the ropes, Mr. Kelly. I'm gonna go with Mixon here. What do we have here? This offense, and I feel like Mixon always has this upside, and he's young and he's good, but he's not on the field. And what do we have in Cincinnati? It looks nice, but is it a mirage?
Yeah, Mixon is actually the most difficult one to kind of pinpoint for me. He's only going to be 25 here in July, so he's one of the younger backs that we're still talking about here tonight. He was on pace for 69 pass targets last season. Nice. 19th in points per game in 2019 with 14.1. He had 16.6 before the injury derailed him last season. But I mean, the thing that's going for Mixon is there's freaking nobody there behind him.
Right.
There's absolutely nobody there behind him. The Bengals seem like they want to, they paid him. We've already had comments out of their offensive coordinator, Brian Callahan. They said, hey, don't want Mixon coming off the field. My problem with him is I still don't know what the hell happened to Joe Mixon definitively last year. And I asked this last night on Twitter, and FF Ming sent me an article he did over on Fantrax, and he thinks it was a strain. They got misdiagnosed and could have been something along the lines of Liz Frank. And that's about as
Yeah.
granular as I've gotten with Joe Mixon, because the Bengals never definitively came out and said exactly what happened to them. And if you remember the season before that, they did the exact same thing with AJ Green. So moreover, the thing that I've learned out of this is I don't trust the freaking Cincinnati Bengals coaching staff. On top of that, they drafted Jamar Chase. I think those targets are going to go down. So the problem is you can't really sell him, because I don't think anybody necessarily is trying to buy Joe Mixon. So I think you're selling him at his low point. So I'm trying to hold on to him through maybe week 6, maybe week 8, hoping he pops off, sell him to a contender that's maybe making that push for a championship if I'm out of the picture. But Joe Mixon is just in a weird spot. He may get there just purely on volume alone if he stays on the field.
Interesting. Mixon, man, like he could really hit that upside this year, or he could really just be a cliff dive. But I'm going to go to you, Clayton. You got Zeke over there right on your shoulder. This is a guy close to my heart. I know you're a Cowboys fan too. Talk me off the cliff. Tell me he's a trust fall.
It's difficult.
You don't
for me
have
with
to.
Zeke.
If he's not, just nail it with me.
No,
But
with this Zeke, it's difficult for me because we know that with Dak coming back, we're probably going to see the Zeke of old, and I want to buy into that, but at the same time, I think we've seen enough from Tony Pollard that maybe they understand they don't need to run Zeke as much, and so there's a good chance Pollard eats into some of his workload. I mean, he can fend for himself out there. It's not Zeke and nobody. Pollard's, he's a good flex play in a lot of leagues. I mean, especially, PPR and stuff like that. So it's hard to say he's a sell right now. If I own him, I'm holding him, letting him show off a little in the season and then trying to move him.
so you think he's an in-season trade?
He's an in-season trade. Yeah,
Absolutely.
100%.
All right. It's time for me to clear the room and talk about Aaron Jones. One side, I love this dude. I love what he does, and I feel like he's got more to offer. He's got more in Pandora's box. But the other side, I do see A.J. Dillon lurking back there, looking over my shoulder. Hey, no faces up there, dude. Aaron Jones is a beast, and he's got little bits of target share, but Aaron Rodgers leaving scares me. But guess what? Aaron Jones, flex it on me, baby, because I'm trust falling. I'm falling in love again. Hit the Creed music. Let's go. Let's run it back. All right. Anybody think Aaron Jones is a cliff dive? Raise their hand. CJ?
It's such a hard call with a lot of these guys. The problem is, what are you getting back for them? Like, Aaron Jones is a guy, again, depending how your season's going, you're going to want him or get rid of him. These are what a lot of these guys are. So I love Aaron Jones, but no one's buying him right now. His price is so depressed with the Aaron Rodgers news looming about that he has to be a trust fall. You have to fall into that. You can't sell him for the price he's worth, because he's going to be if Aaron Rodgers is there, he's a top 5 RB every week. You know it.
I think with trust falls and cliff dives, it's important in Dynasty to look farther than just this year, to have a 2-year window. Like, obviously, if you don't believe in these guys, but all these guys could produce, no problem. It's you banking on their value to go up. So that's huge.
In that case, there's no way Aaron Jones' value goes up. That's
okay. I think he could get more catches. So in PPR format, maybe the touchdowns go down. But granted, I guess it all does depend on Aaron Rodgers as well.
Well, the downside of that is that he has one of the hardest schedules starting the season. So he's one of those guys that's going to come out with a slow start, most likely. That could indicate a buying window for a lot of people, more so than a selling window for that matter.
Well, in the injuries, he started off his career like 12 games, 14 games.
He was also suspended a little bit there, so it's not just...
That's never good. But, I mean, I guess that's – if you're suspended, it's not the same as being hurt, baby.
It's less carries, man. They got the little less wear and tear.
Right. Rules are different now.
But I like
Does
what you said.
anybody have a
Jamal
bold
Williams.
statement before we move on about these guys that they need to get out?
I was just going to say, with no Jamal Williams there, yeah, you actually could see an uptick for Aaron Jones in catches. So I'm actually okay with that. I'm kind of just wondering if Aaron Rodgers is gone, Does that mean they just have to hammer, Aaron Jones into the ground before he, hits the cliff point? As it is, anyway, he's about to be 27.
Yeah.
Do you just ride him even more, and does he just get there on volume? I mean, running back 3, running back 4 over the last 2 seasons, he's good for at least 3 or 4 week winning type weeks every single season. Hot takes though, Austin Eckler, I'll go top 7 running back this season.
Ooh, I like it. That's faith, man. So it sounds like Eckler's a buy across the board. Clayton, any last thoughts on these guys before we move on?
I mean, Aaron Jones's contract speaks a lot to me. They re-signed him for 4 years. I think it was 12 a year. I mean, he's their guy for the foreseeable future. Yes, you have AJ Dillon Quadzilla back there. I'm sure he's going to show his face. They drafted Kylan Hill, and then they have Dexter Williams. I mean, Aaron Jones is the guy, and I don't think it very much matters whether or not Aaron Rodgers is there. I mean, he's a total trust fall to me.
Trust fall. Everybody's got to learn the hard way or the easy way. Well, let's go the hard way. That's our next crew of bad dudes. We got Chris Carson, Kareem, the kicking dream, and Mr. Lenny playoff hunt or Fournette. CJ, let's get this one out of the way. Leonard Fournette. Sell me on him.
I can't sell you on him. I don't want him. There's nothing I can say to sell you on him. He's
good
a guy.
Icebreaker, right?
Yeah, I'm you start with the one I do not want to talk about. I do not want him on my team. I'm trading him if anybody believes in Lombardi Lenny. To give me a couple seconds, I'm cool, you can have him. I have no trust in him. A, holding up. B, having a good enough workload with Ronald Jones in that backfield. It's all just literally a good playoff run we're living off of. And we saw that with a guy like Sony Michel, who's actually another first-round bust that we've seen from the NFL. So I just think Lombardi Lenny is a very, very big cliff dive, and go find the person that wants to be a trust fall and sell him right now.
And that's Giovanni Bernard. That's Rojo. And CJ, one more. Tell me a little bit about Keyshawn Vaughn.
Who? That's someone that just that again is in the back burner. There's just so much in that backfield, but I think Vaughn was just again a poor pick by their selection. I think he has the juice to do something. Just the way that coaching staff runs, I think it's going to be Giovanni Bernard's going to take up so much of the passing work in that offense. He's going to be the James White. They literally called Gio the day he was cut and be like, "Hey, Brady wants you." So that's going to be his role. So literally the whole upside of Leonard Fournette, the whole idea that Vaughn could be a guy that has his workload is gone, in my opinion, for Gio Bernard, who they literally decided to go grab. No matter what you think of the player, the coaching staff and the quarterback want him there. So it takes off from everybody. I want nothing to do with that backfield.
Does anybody want a part of Fournette? Not going to do it. Clayton, who do you want a part of? Hunt or Carson?
Oh, man. For me, it's got to be Chris Carson, man. I want him. I want him for this season. I don't know how much longer I want him after that, but I do want him this season. I mean, you look at that depth chart, and there's nothing that scares me at all. I mean, Rashad Penny has been supposed to come on for how many years now, and it hasn't happened. And then you've got Travis Homer. I mean, reality is Chris Carson's the guy there, and he probably will be for the next 2-3 years, but I want him in Dynasty this year, and then I want to move away from him.
Matt, what's your take on Carson?
Give me all that Chris Carson. All that Chris Carson. Ever since they drafted Rashad Penny, obviously that was the worry when Pete decided to take him in the first round. But then you kept hearing through that particular offseason, Pete just kept beating the drum for Chris Carson, man. People are like, no, you just took that guy in the first round. What are you talking about? And it's been Chris Carson ever since. Running back 12 in 2019, 15 games. Running back 19 last season. Rashad Penny, they declined his fifth-year option. That tells you what they think about them. They sent Carlos Hyde packing. Give me all the Chris Carson, dude. Shane Waldron is going to be the offensive coordinator. He was previously the passing game coordinator for the Rams. I don't know if you watched Rams football last year, but they ran a lot inside the 20. I think that's going to happen again here with Chris Carson. So, yeah, man, I'm trying to steal Chris Carson wherever I can. And just a little side note, the Tampa Bay running back, or the Tampa Bay Buccaneers running back to to have, in my opinion, is Gio Bernard. He's the cheapest. He's going to catch passes. Give me Gio. I don't want nothing to do with Ronald Jones or Lenny Fournette.
Feel like I should just have a Gio Bernard dance right now with the mustache. Let's all shave our beards into mustaches. Let's go.
No.
Yeah, we'd be very miserable. All right.
We'd be very single.
Yeah, good point. We wouldn't get far. Kareem Hunt, though, man, he's always had the juice. He looked good when Chubb wasn't there. This is a run-heavy team, and you can tell he's the pass back there. Dude, Kareem Hunt, to me, this is a trust fall. I'm willing to hang out with him, get burned. I don't care. I've gotten burned in the past. When he plays, he's a gamer. CJ, trust fall Kareem Hunt or cliff dive?
He's a trust fall. I mean, I've been buying him as a lot in this offseason. I mean, he's one of the guys I usually buy just because he's the last running back I trust to be my RB2 because he always has RB1 upside. He has all the playability that you can have, and then his price is never too high because there's a better running back in front of him. Nick Chubb is a better running back, but at the same time, in a 17-game season, there's going to be more of a split than we want to admit to ourselves, which means I think Kareem Hunt sees the ball more than he did last season. And he already is the better pass catcher on the team. He's
RB10 last year.
Yeah. I mean, that was elevated a lot on a couple big games, and it was elevated a lot on Chubb getting hurt. So, like, I would love
hurt a lot, though.
Oh, I completely agree. He had one of the most catastrophic knee injuries of all college football. So that's something to always keep in the back of our minds as a player like that. So, again, at his price, he's usually going in that 6th round in a super flex startup. He's never more than like a late first in trades a lot of the time. So, like, I'm scooping up Hunt wherever I can, and I'm riding him till the wheels fall off at this point just because he's at an age where you can't sell him back for more than he is. He's going to outproduce his price. So, 100% trust fall on that one.
All right. Is anybody cliff diving Kareem Hunt?
Yeah, I'm probably out.
Whoa, Matt, fill me in.
Which makes sense because Matt Kelly traded him to me.
Oh. Yeah. No, I mean, I'm kind of out. Last year, 51% of the snap share, and that's even with Nick Chubb, being on the IL for like 6 weeks. If you had to guess, Maddie, CJ, anybody, Burner, whoever wants to jump in, how many targets do you think Kareem Hunt saw last season?
How many targets? 80?
Yep. Nope.
65?
Nope.
40.
Closer. Burner's closest. 51. 51 is all that Hunt saw, even with Chubb off the field. I think that's only going to continue to decline. Nick Chubb is clearly the best player on the team. Find a way to get it into his hands. The Browns are in a window to do damage and to make it further than they've made it in quite some time. Kareem Hunt will see a little bit if they're trying to close out games. Maybe if the Browns are just really up in a lot of games this season, then Hunt's closing some out with some checkdowns from Baker or something like that. But otherwise, if somebody's handing me a back of the first, give me that back of the first all day.
Ooh, okay. So I'm more on Hunt than I am Carson. I'm not really worried about Fournette. I just feel like he was a honorable mention kind of guy. Matt, where's your last beach vacation?
It's funny. I was just talking about this the other night because I've got one scheduled for November. My last actual beach vacation was 2017.
Okay, where'd you go?
Yep, Punta Cana.
Ooh, man.
No, that's a lie. Puerto Vallarta.
I've never heard of either one of them. Mr. Nate.
What's up, Nate?
Nate the Great. Clayton, you're up there in the hills of Idaho. When was your last beach trip, my man?
That would have been last year before I left the great state of Texas. Living in San Antonio, we went down to Corpus Christi, North Padre Island, and hung out there
Padre
for a while.
Island. Is that where like Girls Gone Wild and all those?
That's South Padre. That's way further south. And actually, I think since then, I actually have been to. I went to Port Aransas for a bachelor party about a month before we left. So that would be the one.
If you would have said Galveston, I would have disqualified you, though.
Galveston, no.
Oh. Clayton. I mean, not Clayton. Excuse me, Mr. CJ. Are you a beach goer? You used to live there. Were you a beach guy?
I'm actually not a beach guy. I actually despise sand. So like I'm typically not a fan of the beach in all reality. I like being outside, I like being by the pool. I just don't like sand at all. So
Do you miss it? Do you miss Florida compared to Colorado?
oh no. I love going to visit Florida. I'd rather be here than there, but I love going to visit everyone. I think it's great for a week, and then I'm like, okay, I'm ready to get out of here again. I like cities.
Old city slickers.
Just for the record, if you hate sand, take baby powder. Somebody who grew up on the Gulf Coast gets it right off you.
It still gets everywhere, man. It's just so gross.
It does. It does.
Like,
I don't mind the beach. I just hate packing like everything to take to the beach, and you're just a one-man wrecking crew. Before you even get out there and set up, you're like exhausted.
Yeah.
That sounds like a kid's problem. I don't have that.
Kids. There is dog beaches though.
That's fair.
Clay,
My dogs don't swim well, so I shouldn't.
let's see how this dolphin swims. Taxi squad stashes. Jared Dokes, Mr. Cincinnati himself. This guy was pretty good last year in college, 972 and 5. Round 7 pick here for the Dolphins. Didn't bring anybody in. Fill us in on this guy.
Man, when it comes to Dokes, it has a lot to do with the depth chart there. Okay. Now you might say 7th round draft capital. Who's going to start a 7th round running back? The Dolphins. That's who, because that's what they did with Myles Gaskin. And then behind him, you've got Savon Ahmed, sorry, and he was a UDFA. They brought in Malcolm Brown, but you look at him and they signed him to it was like a $1.75 million 1-year contract. They're not paying him the big bucks. He's not there to start. I mean, he's there for depth. That's it. And so when you look at this situation, you've got a guy who is 5'11", 228. You know, he's a big guy. He's got a lot of power. He runs with power, big legs. I mean, he can catch passes, but it's not necessarily what he does. And so if you take somebody like this, who also, I think, ran it was a 4.5 40 and had a 39.5-inch vert. I mean, so the guy's got legs, he's got power, he's got speed. So you bring him in, and I think that I think he's going to end up possibly being the thunder to Myles Gaskin's lightning. And I'm not saying he's necessarily going to start, or get the majority, be a 3-down back, but he's definitely going to be involved.
Well, and this is a 3rd round rookie pick. This is maybe a free agent after your rookie draft.
Right. He's real late.
Superflex. So for a team that's going to run the ball, that's kind of their motto with a stout defense. This could be a match made in heaven.
I absolutely agree.
All right. From one RB to another. We've seen Miles Sanders. He can't stay healthy. We got Jordan Howard. We got Carry-On. But we have a 5th round selection by your Philadelphia field goal phenomenon, Eagles. Y'all remember that movie, Tony Danza? No? Okay. Not that one, excuse me. Maddie with the Ayuk shirt, repping that Memphis. Kenny Gainwell, man. One of the more explosive pass catchers in this rookie class. Fill us in on Gainwell and why you think he's a good taxi squad stash.
And just real quick, Clayton, are you the person that sniped Dokes for me in our draft?
I might have been.
I think that was Maddie. I got that one.
Yeah, I've been taking Dokes everywhere, so I like that call because you can get him late. The Dolphins did have trouble getting into the end zone, so love the call there on Dokes as the bigger back there in Miami. But with Kenny Gainwell, to the comment that just popped up, I've pretty much been off of Sanders from more or less day one, so I guess I missed the boat with the little run that he had there in his rookie season. I was completely off of him last season, and that pretty well showed to pay off. Grant you, he was hurt. The entire damn Philadelphia Eagles team was hurt, but Kenny Gainwell he's kind of hard to pinpoint. He's 5'8", 201, as you mentioned, out of Memphis, 4.47 on his pro day, had a massive, just ridiculous, like Madden-like numbers in 2019, and then he opted out of 2020, which is what makes it so difficult to peg where exactly Kenny Gainwell should be going and what his value is. Kind of right there in Philadelphia. But with that, and with them also bringing in Carry-On Johnson, I think that kind of I'm not necessarily worried about Kerryon as far as like workload towards Miles Sanders per se, but I just think it tells you what the Eagles think about Miles Sanders and specifically his pass catching. If you think about what Kerryon kind of is okay at, if we're going to say that Kerryon's okay at anything, and it's probably pass catching. Kenny Gainwell is most certainly a pass catching specialist. And I think as the season wears on, you're going to see more and more of him on third down. And if you're believing, in what Philadelphia has going with Jalen Hurts and the new surrounding cast, Devontae Smith, they almost have to by default be better on offense. So Kenny Gainwell is someone that you can still get in the third round, maybe even later if your if your draft mates are just asleep at the wheel. But I'm pretty much grabbing him wherever I can and just taking my shot on him because I don't see Miles Sanders is getting more than about 55 to 60% of the carries there for Philly, or opportunities, I should say.
Upside and opportunity, man. I think you nailed it, especially if you're getting him at the early third or mid third, whatever. That's a steal. With Kerryon, what he's done, what Miles has done on the field, yeah, it's nice, but they don't want to run him into the ground. We've seen that. This might be a slow cook situation, but I could see, some big things happening. From another real sticky situation, CJ, your taxi squad sleeper came in late, last minute. Congratulations on who are you talking to? Are you saying a prayer mid-show? Sabbath, I get it. Brevin Jordan, CJ Krause, your new gym manager, buff and still the stuff. Tell us a little bit about Brevin Jordan.
Yeah, Brevin Jordan is an interesting one. Honestly, I wanted to take Jared Dokes, but I got last on the pecking order on this one. But I have about 90% exposure with Dokes on there. But Brevin Jordan's another guy I have very high exposure on. So I'm going to quiz you guys really fast. Can you name the 3 tight ends that caught passes for the Houston Texans last year?
No, but I can name 3 tight ends from the University of Miami.
Yeah. Which is the sad thing. It's easier to name those.
Did Khalil Warren get one?
Nope. He did not actually.
My
It was
gosh.
Jordan Akins.
It's one.
It was
All right, I'll call it there. Jordan Akins, Pharaoh Brown, and Darren Fells were the 3 tight ends who caught
Darren
passes
Fells.
last year for that team. And they caught 72 receptions for 878 yards. And a Deshaun Watson, let's not talk about that, but that's who was the quarterback last year, a very good on-the-field quarterback that we talked that likes to use his tight end. That's a big deal that nobody could produce there. So they went out and got somebody that honestly pre-draft was probably everyone's tight end 2, maybe tight end 3, who just fell so far to pick number 147. So I think with the opportunity that he has in front of him, because he was one of the better pass catchers last year. He had 38 receptions, 576 yards last year, and 7 touchdowns while missing 3 games due to an ankle injury and COVID protocol. So he was already 3 games behind a lot of people. So he's one of those guys that I don't expect tight end to break out year one. This is especially for the tight end premium leagues primarily because he's a decent blocker and a better pass catcher. And those are the upside tight ends I go for. These are the kind of guys that you'll see like the Robert Tunyons or the Logan Thomases that break out a little bit later on because they're not there to block. They're literally just there to catch passes. And that's what we care about in fantasy football.
Well, there you go. Brevin Jordan on a Texans team with a lot of questions. But this is a guy that's probably not even getting drafted, I believe.
Usually like 4th round. That's like when I've seen him a lot of the time, like super late. Like people are forgetting like how much you liked him before the draft, and they're just putting that into perspective. Again, I don't expect anything more than a late 3rd I'd have to spend on him. So that's how he's a perfect stash. And again, the taxi squad's there to let people develop, and tight ends especially, you can let them sit down there, and they're one of the ones, if it hits, you have a lot panning out for you.
Mr. True North Nate has a little question about Hunter Long as a stash in Miami with Gesicki there. Is there room for a 2 tight end set?
I don't think it's going to be a 2 tight end set. I think he's going to be there to be the heir apparent because they don't want to pay Gesicki. Because Gesicki's going to want to get paid. So Hunter Long's there to sit behind him until the time comes for Gesicki to move on to another team. because he's going to ask for too much money. So I think that's what Hunter Log's purpose is. Again, another perfect guy to put on a taxi squad to wait on. That's someone that I like.
And that's probably next season. I mean, he's scheduled to be an unrestricted free agent next season. This is the last year that Miami really has to pay him. So it's just a question of, for me, that whole offense, that whole situation is what did they think about Tua? And I think Miami is telling you what they think about Tua. They went out and got his buddy Waddle. They brought in Will Fuller. Obviously, you still have Parker there. You have Gesicki, but they feel like they need another guy behind him. So they go out and get Hunter Long in a draft where they really could have used a lot of other pieces outside of another tight end. So I kind of like that, especially if you got room on the taxi squad and you can hang on to him for a couple of years. I've got quite a bit of Hunter Long as well. He's kind of my pivot from Brevin Jordan, actually.
All right, so here's another one that we didn't talk about, but because we got a comment, I'll go ahead and spit it to you. David Montgomery, man. This is a tough one. RB4 last year. You're getting Justin Fields. They have a good defense. They use them in the red zone. What are y'all's thoughts? Do you see a RB 1 year? And could it happen, or is it still in that RB2, maybe some RB1 weeks?
You didn't say RB3, Matty.
Nah, man, I'm not going that bad. Jeez.
If Justin Fields is who we think he is, then David Montgomery is an okay running back too. But the dude had the perfect storm last season. Tariq Cohen went down. Nobody else behind him. His late season schedule was as favorable as anyone's going down the stretch. And I think peak value. I think you already missed peak value on David Montgomery. So if we talk about trust falls and cliff dives, I think you got to hold on to him because I don't think you're getting a whole lot back. I mean, grant you earlier this season, I traded David Montgomery straight up for Kenny Golladay. I mean, I couldn't hit smash, I couldn't smash accept quick enough on that deal. But in a lot of leagues, I don't think you're getting those offers necessarily. So David Montgomery, I don't think he's in my top 20.
Interesting. I had just made a David Montgomery trade today. It didn't feel great, but I did it anyways. I got Debo, David Montgomery, and Justin Fields. And I gave away Michael Thomas and Darnold. Just real
super flex.
Sure. Yeah, I just wasn't sure. I have too much Darnold in my life. So
say it one more time.
Darnold and Michael Thomas for Justin Fields, David Montgomery, and Debo Samuel.
I guess I lean the Fields side because I'm high on Fields, but I mean, like it's very close. I can see it going either way. I think Fields is the best piece in all of that, and then Michael Thomas is the second best piece in all of that. But
Name
I think
a receiver that you could probably get for David Montgomery right now.
Not Kenny Golladay again.
I mean,
Oh.
yeah. While we start thinking, maybe like a DJ Chark or something like that, that could be a decent piece to go for. But I think David Montgomery is an RB2. He is what we thought he is. I think that he still doesn't have many people behind him. Latur comes coming off a major injury. There's Damian Williams coming off a year of not playing football, and then Khalil Herbert, another guy you should be stashing at the bottom of your taxi squads.
Oh yeah,
another deeper guy down there that could take some touches away. I'm just saying that's where I would be heading.
Love these guys.
Do you think you get Cooper Kupp for?
Yeah, I think you get Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp's ADP is behind him.
I take Cooper Kupp.
I think I would take that too, as long as I'm not like RB needy.
Right. Yeah.
But assuming situation, but like if in a vacuum, I take Cooper Kupp. I agree.
RB needy and RB meaty. This is what the episode was. Let's get you out of here real quick. Jonathan Adams, undrafted free agent, tore up, I believe it was the Sun Belt Conference last year. I almost laughed. Player of the year, plays basketball, Mike Williams comp, and Detroit sucks. No receivers other than Tyrell. This is an outside receiver. You can, get off of waivers probably week 3, but get him now. He is a hot buy. Any Jonathan Adams fans?
I don't know who the shit Jonathan Adams is, to be quite frank with you.
It's one of those things that's like a sure. Why not?
If you have taxi spots.
Philosophically, I don't like this because I don't like putting receivers on my taxi squad. because it's really what you get at the end of the day from them long term. So like I'd rather put tight ends or running backs in my taxi squad over a 7th round wide receiver, because at best you're expecting Jonathan Adams to be a wide receiver 3 you're hoping for. That's what you want.
Hey, he's gonna be like Mike Williams on a good year, baby.
So okay, somebody you're maybe starting once a season or a bye week guy, but if I get a guy like a Brevin Jordan, Hunter Long, and they could be a top 12 tight end out there. We're talking to guys like Khalil Herbert, Jared Dokes, Kenny Gainwell. If they hit, they can be RB2s, a weekly starter. I just don't see a wide receiver hitting that threshold. So that's why philosophically I don't like it.
Game of Thrones, I believe that's what it is, where you're walking through naked and everybody's just shaming you. That's what it feels like on this one.
I don't hate Adams, though. I do like him. I just don't see a path to make him fantasy relevant. I think for football, he could be good on the team. And I think he has the way to do it. I just don't see when I would ever use him unless I'm starting like 5 wide receivers in a league.
The path is
next Kenny Galladay. Who knows?
It's Detroit. That's the path.
Well, the path. Okay, is Jared Goff Detroit? Do you want Jared Goff's? What you think?
No, I don't. I'm just saying. I mean, and Jared Goff probably has 2 seasons if we're being realistic, which is probably going to take. That's what it's going to take. How long it's going to take for Jonathan Adams to be relevant, most likely. So. From that perspective, I mean, I'm not worried about anybody in front of him, sans maybe Amon-Ra St. Brown. But other than that, I mean,
I think this also depends how deep your taxi squad is too. Like a lot of taxi squads on average are 3 players. And if I'm using 3 players, I want the more high like upside positions. If you're in a league that like I have one that's a 10-player taxi. Adams is on there.
Then sure, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, toss everody on there. If I can use anybody.
David Hawkins, you changed my mind. Louisville, Atlanta Falcons, I'll take it. Thanks, Nate. Dude, let's get out of here. You guys wore me out today. I've talked enough about taxi squads that I'm hype on Jonathan Adams. Let's get him off the screen. Dude, Burner, Faces of Fantasy at Burner Stone. You can come knock down your door in Idaho. Closing thoughts?
Man, I just want to say thank you for having me on. This is my first foray into a fantasy football show that's not just an interview. So it's a nice change of pace. I didn't have the stats like Matt Kelly over here, but I dabble. I've played for some years. I'm a big fan, and if anybody wants to check out the podcast, it's on Twitter at Faces of Fantasy, and you should check out Monday's episode too. It ran a little long, but I got Rum Boys Robbie on there with me. So
Faces of Fantasy.
Yes, sir.
Leighton, Burner, kicking butt and taking names.
Trying to, man.
Baby. Later, Gator. Mr. CJ. Mr. Flash Gordon. Promotion at work. Killing it in fantasy. You got one half of 2 bad dudes with attitudes. A dynasty duo. Taking over, baby. At Kid Flash FF. Closing thoughts.
No, I appreciate you having me on. It's always good to talk about some things, and I always love hearing you guys hype up players I've been picking up in our league together. So it's really nice to know I'm doing some good things with that. But yeah, if you want to check out any of my stuff, always can find me at KidFlashFF. My podcast with my good friend Tyler Karp from DLF. It is at the Dynasty Duo FF. We have a pod dropping tonight. So that's going to be this week's episode. It's going to be talking about some veteran under the radar players. So get ready to listen to that.
Man, like Jonathan Adams and the Arkansas State Red Wolves. Ow! Let's get you off. That sounded weird. Matt Kelly, the blueprint, the pick is in. You make the calls on the field and off, man. DFS madman during the season. And you're kicking butt on Dynasty. At that Matt Kelly. At the pick is in. Closing thoughts.
Is Arkansas State Red Wolves, is that the real team?
Oh,
I need to know. I really just wanted to howl again is really all it was. But yeah, man, the pick is in. Fantasy Football Podcast. Wherever you find podcasts is pretty much where you can find us. We're going to be starting up division months here in just a few. So we're just going to be breaking down division by division for the next 8-ish weeks or so. We're going to throw a best ball draft in there. We're going to start talking about some early props that you can get on before pieces start moving. So that's what we got looking ahead on the Pick is In Fantasy Football Podcast. As you mentioned, at that Matt Kelly, at the Pick is In FFP. And appreciate it, Matty. We'll do it again soon, buddy.
Always a pleasure, my treasure. The pick is in. Before I get out of here, real quick, www.ffaffair.com, at Fantasy Affair FF on Twitter. Thank you to my team, the people that write, the people that edit, that tweet, that MySpace, that page me, anything and everything. Thank you, Fantasy Affair. It has been fun. I'll see you tomorrow with some quick hitters. Darnell Mooney. Till next time, let's get it.